Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave and welcome to another awesome video. I'm really excited about this video, but I have to tell you it's a teensy, weensy, little bit late. What happened was I was actually, this went up, my post went up last Monday, but then it was a holiday weekend. And when I got home, the post was there, like there was a picture there, but like all the writing was gone. And long story short, I think what ultimately happened was I didn't save my last version of it. I went off and had my weekend with my family and I came home and it was gone. And then kind of life threw up in my face. Okay, that sounds a little dramatic, sorry. Melodramatic maybe. It was the last week of school, it was a holiday week, and it was the last week of the catalog and the start of a new catalog. That was all combined into a 4-day week. Long story short, I didn't get this video shot until today. But I think you're gonna like it. There's a couple things on here that I use that are not that are retired, which I know is sucky, but I think you'll like the ideas. And if you really want this stamp set, I actually have a couple of these sets because I did a little ordering mishap, and long story short, I might have ordered 4 of them instead of 1 of them. Oops. So anyway, but let me show you how this comes together because I love these cards and I think the tips in the video are going to be great for you. And I'm going to stop trying to talk. Okay, so first of all, I'm using the stamp set Urban District. Now this was in the Occasions catalog. It was with all of the man stuff towards the end, the Urban Underground suite of products, which I love. And I actually have an online class for this. I have 2 online classes actually. I have the Urban District class, or no, I'm sorry, Urban Underground class, which is man cards using this stamp set, and then the Nailed It stamp set. And then I have a second class called the Softer Side of Urban District, Softer Side of Urban Underground, and it comes with cards that are like more feminine, flowery, what have you, that are using that gorgeous Urban Underground printed paper and the stuff in that suite. So anyway, here is the stamp set that I'm using, and I actually wanted to showcase some of the more, this would definitely be the softer side. So what I have is I have these 2 stamps, You're the Best and World's Greatest. Now obviously these are supposed to be for masculine dad type cards or man cards, but I thought they made some pretty awesome feminine cards as well. Of course, you could actually alter both of these cards with a few colors, and instead of flowers, do maybe stars, and you'd have a great masculine card. And I would do them like in reds and blues and greens, and then those are more masculine. These obviously are very feminine, but I still think you could get the same concept. Okay, so I'm also using one other thing that is amazing, and I actually have an online class for this one as well. This wasn't supposed to be an online class plug, but it kind of turned out to be that way. This is the Eastern Beauty. This was a great bundle during the May promotion, but now this is available with the stamp set and the framelits and all of those items separately in the catalog that just started last week. And I am going to combine these 3 circular images to create the backgrounds on both of my cards. So I really do love these cards. So let me show you how they all came together. So first of all, I am going to do this card here. And what I have for this card is a piece of smoky slate cardstock that I am going to fold, and all the dimensions are on my blog post. I'm not even going to try and tell you these because I actually had a little bit of trouble cutting the paper for them to make sure I was cutting the right layer in the right size for the right card. Okay, so I'm actually having the foldy part be the smoky slate, but then there was this background piece, which actually was one I cut wrong for this card first, in the background. It's a long story, don't even get me going because it was not pretty. Okay, now I'm going to take and use my smoky slate ink and just create this background on my Whisper White panel. Now, whenever I'm creating a random background for a card, I'm going to start with the largest image first, and kind of go all over the card. And I am overlapping these images just a little bit. If you're not careful, you'll end up with Olympic rings. Just saying. I may or may not have had that on a previous version of this card. I actually think that would be awesome to make an Olympic card with the stamp set, now that I say that. Before it was sort of unintentional, but now that I think about it, how cool would that be? I'm not sure who you'd send it to. Maybe if you knew an Olympian, but either way, it's kind of neat. So again, I'm working from largest to smallest images, and I'm stamping all over the place, overlapping. One of the things that if you have trouble making cards in the random fashion, try and stamp things in triangles because they are visually appealing to your eyes. And that can be very helpful. Okay, so I think I've got that pretty well covered. Isn't that a fun background? Now, of course, anything over the top on this would be beautiful, but I am going to turn it on its side and add some beautiful flowers. Okay, so I'm actually using the retired Botanical Builder framelits, and they are so pretty. Of course, if you don't have these, you can substitute what flowers that you might have. We have lots of different flowers to choose from in the catalog. A great substitution for this would actually be the falling flowers, or we have a new set called Oh So Eclectic, and I think those would work pretty well also. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and add those flowers. Now, I changed it up a little bit, and I'm going to show you why that is, I think. I might show you why. Here we go. So what I did with this is I went a little crazy. I die cut a whole bunch of pieces over the last year or two, and maybe sometimes I needed specific things, or sometimes I was just building colors, but I would just throw all those extra pieces that I die cut into this container, and then I would, whenever I wanted to make a card, I'd just kind of pull from here. So it worked out really well. And so when I went to make this card, I loved these two colors, but I didn't have those exact pieces left over when I wanted to shoot my video. So rather than die cut them, I thought I would choose two similar ones. So here I have, this is Watermelon Wonder, and this is Blushing Bride. So I just switched up the colors, grabbed some leaves, and of course my white centers, and then I'm going to go from there. All right, so to create this card, again, I love just die cutting a bunch of colors and then kind of mixing and matching and looking to see which ones look good together and which ones don't. I think it's really fun mixing colors up, and I can see that I also did not get a very good cut on this one. So sorry about that. There we go. We're going to make it work though. Maybe this one we just won't foof quite as much. Is this one better? Yes, this one is better. But again, it's so helpful to have those pieces already in my stash, if you will. Okay, now that I've got my two flowers here, I'm going to pop them up onto my card, and then I just like to kind of lay things out before I start gluing anything down. Put the darker one at the bottom. And then I can just kind of tuck these leaves in however I like. That looks pretty good right there. I had an extra just in case. You never know. Girl likes to have her options open. And then I'll put those on top. Okay. Now to adhere all of this together, I want to grab one thing first. And that is my silver metallic thread, because I think that'll be a fun little addition underneath this. As you can see, I put some here. So to do that, I'm actually going to just take, oops, woo, things are going all over. I'm going to go ahead and take and kind of put two strips of adhesive down. All of my stuff is going to cover this up, so it's no big deal. Then I'm going to take my thread. I'm going to wrap it around my fingers several times, like 8 or 10 times. This is not an exact science, so don't count or worry. Just wrap it around a bunch. Then just kind of stick it down on there. What I like to do is make sure that the ends touch some adhesive, just so they aren't sticking out and being annoying, which sometimes they can be. So I just get my ends in that adhesive. There we go. Okay, and then I'll just add my flowers and everything on top of that. I think actually on my sample I put the leaves down first, which that would be cool too, but whatever, it's okay. It doesn't matter is really what I'm trying to make sure you understand and see. It's going to look a little different every time you do it, which is kind of the beauty of it actually. Okay, so I have my 2 flowers. I'm going to overlap them just a little. And then I'm going to tuck my leaves underneath. I'll put a little adhesive. Sometimes I just kind of rip off that stem because it can sort of get in the way when I'm trying to tuck things. And actually I can, well, get that in under here. A little easier said than done because it's catching on my metallic thread. But there we go. We've got that one down. Let's see if we can tuck this one under. I think we can. It keeps catching on everything. Okay, one more time. Trying to get below the metallic thread. There, I think I got it this time. All right, so I'll just kind of arrange that how I want. And I can still see my threads sticking out, so that's great. It just adds a little shimmer. Then I'll take my glue dots and stick a couple of these beautiful centers. That was one of my favorite parts of these framelits. Now, if you didn't get these, let me know. I might be able to find you some if you'd like them. Okay, I also like to poof and foof these things up a little bit so they're dimensional. You know, that's my fave. Okay, so there we go. Then last, my last little embellishment touch is I'm going to add some rhinestones. And you have to bear with me for 1 second. I just did a little reorganization of my accessories, and I have a dedicated spot. Here we go. I'm keeping my rhinestones in a little thing, but I haven't labeled them yet. I need to do that part, but I was so excited. I have all my accessories pretty much fit in either the clear or the wood mount cases from the catalog, which is kind of awesome. They were not in the original printing of the catalog. They are not pictured in there, but they are still available. So there's my card. Now to finish this up, all that I need to do is stamp my sentiment on a scrap of smoky slate. So I have "You're the Best." I'm going to stamp that in smoky slate. Oh, here we go. Smoky slate. Okay, and now you might be noticing that this is kind of an odd sized card. You would be right, it is. But what we're going to do is make our own envelope for this. I'll show you that in just a moment. I'm going to take, oh, that's too wide. Too wide. So we'll use our triple banner punch. Boom. There we go. And I'll pop this up on my card for the cute sentiment. "You're the best." I kind of like that a lot, actually. And of course, this could go so wonderfully for anybody in your life. You're the best mom, friend, aunt, grandma, you know, whatever. Totally works. I'll just trim that end off like so. All right. Now let's do the other card because it's similar. Very simple. Oh, wait. Sorry, one last thing. We got to adhere this to our background panel. Again, this was born out of the fact that I cut the cardstock wrong for the other card. But sometimes that makes the best accidents. Okay, now let's do World's Greatest Friend because I really like this. I'm not even gonna lie. We're gonna create our background much in the same way. This time we're gonna do it on a basic gray. So I'm going to use basic gray ink. It actually is going to look a little dark at first, but then it sort of dries. It dries lighter than how it looks at first, just in case you were wondering. Okay, so again, stamp my Olympic rings first. Overlap as needed. And then follow through with the medium circle and the small circle. And that was the medium. Here's the small. Now the fun part about this, I think, is the pop of color against this gray is really cute. Okay, so we've got that. Now our folded card on this one, let me just make sure, yes, is that correct? Goes like this, and then we'll adhere this layer right on top. Like so. Okay, then I die cut the word friend using from F to D, pink or Flirty Flamingo, Peekaboo Peach, So Saffron, Pear Pizzazz, whew, that was a hard one, Pool Party, and Bermuda Bay. And whenever I'm doing a word like this, what I like to do is arrange my letters to make sure the spacing is correct and everything will fit on here and it's kind of even on both sides before I start the commitment of gluing things down. Okay, so I'm going to flip over this first one and get out my liquid glue. I think liquid glue is probably the easiest to use here in this circumstance. Okay, you don't need a lot, which is kind of the good thing. And then I just smeared a little glue on here, but I can tell you that's easy to get rid of. You just want to let it dry first. Okay, and then I just kind of build things from there. Now I will say if your first letter is crooked, that does kind of affect the rest of the letters. So try and make sure that first one is straight. It makes the rest easier. I know I used to be a high school biology teacher, and sometimes I would write on the, I had a whiteboard in my classroom, and I would write, and then it would kind of go down. So straight, 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 and down. Sometimes it was really funny to look at the board after I'd written a bunch of stuff down, because when you're on the board, you think it's all straight and perfect, but then you take a step back and you're like, oh dear. But I don't think the kids ever minded all that much. I would have said, come do it better. Okay. So our last letter is about to go on. And then just like on the other card, I'm going to stamp World's Greatest, or on the last card I actually did a different one, but that's okay. Okay, so there's my friend. It's a little crooked, but not bad for camera work. Things are always harder when you're on camera. I hope you understand this. All right, now let's stamp World's Greatest on our little scrap of white. Now these are just pieces I have left over from when I trim cardstock out. That's all that is. I'm going to use Smoky Slate on this one. And let's see. World's Greatest. Not half bad. I love it when they come out straight. Okay, and then I'm just going to punch that little banner end, which I love so much. And I will pop this up as well onto my card. Put 3 dimensionals on there. So it's nice and even. So such a simple card. And again, you could totally do this card and make it masculine or feminine based on the colors and even the word that you put on here. So you could do World's Greatest Dad, World's Greatest Father, World's Greatest Grandpa, whatever the world's greatest it is in your life, you can totally put that on here. Ooh, I also have this on here. I forgot. Look at the inside of this. You're the best. I love it. So I'm going to stamp my little circle right there. And then I'm going to grab one more scrap of cardstock. That's a little bigger than I wanted. I have all these in a little jar on my desk. Well, we're going to make this one work. Here we go. You're the best. Boom. Isn't that cute? I'm going to trim it down just a little because it was a little bigger than I wanted it to be. Okay, so we'll just do the end in my triple banner. I'm telling you, this triple banner punch is probably one of my most used punches. It's so handy. Okay, and did I pop that up? No, I just glued it on. Oops. All right, so You're the Best goes right on the inside. I think that's fun. I don't decorate the inside of my cards near enough, in my personal opinion. Okay, now let's make an envelope for these two odd-sized cards. They are the same size. So I'm going to take my envelope punch board and, ooh, that went a-flying. Okay, so what I am going to do is, first of all, get a few of these things out of the way so I can actually make this. All right, so if you look on here, they give you all kinds of sizes of cards. So my card here is actually, let me grab my ruler. Woo! My card is 6.5 by 3.5 inches. So if I look on here, 3.5 by 6.5, it just happens to be this bottom one. I need an 8.25 inch square piece of paper to create the envelope for this. Okay, so I happen to have some of this envelope paper. This was actually retired, but we're going to use it. So 8.25 inch square. Hold on, sorry, I'm cutting my paper quick. I suppose in retrospect I could have had this ready for the video, but now the other thing it tells me right on here is I need to use the 3 1/8 inch score line, which corresponds to these up here. So I'm going to go to 3 1/8 inch, and that is going to be the score line that I'm going to use. So I'll take my little scoring tool right out of the thing. And I've lined it up to 3 1/8. I'm going to punch and score. Okay, so you just score on the line right there. All right. Then I'm going to take and turn it 90 degrees. I'm going to line this pointer up with the score line that I just drew on there. Can you see that right there? That's my score line. I shall punch again and score again. And again, I will line this up, punch, and score, and one final time lining it up, punching and scoring. Okay, now that has given me my envelope, and when you're doing this, the first line or the first score line is the only one you need. The next, every one after that is based on the first one. Does that make sense? So rather than lining it up to that mark every time, you don't want to do that. You just want to line it up the first time. Then each one after is that little pointy thing lines up with your score line. That is something that I did not understand when this first came out. And I'll never forget how embarrassed I was when I didn't get it. Because I remember demonstrating this when I first got mine, like literally, boom, pop it out of the box. I'll show you how it works because I remember. Because of course I watched it demonstrated. Yeah, I didn't pay enough attention. Now I just folded my little flap underneath and just kind of folded it so that it was not in the way. Otherwise it kind of goes all the way up and it's a little odd. But if you just tuck it in, that's kind of cool too. So to do that, I will of course adhere this down so that it doesn't get in the way with my adhesive. And then I'm going to put adhesive right on the length of these tabs here, and that way it will seal, but I'll be able to use my envelope. Okay, and then I can fold this here, and now either one of my cards will fit in here. But isn't that awesome? Huh? Totally mailable. Love it. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you have seen how creative you can get with a card or a stamp set kind of meant for masculine cards, but with a few feminine touches, you can have some pretty girly cards too. Thank you so much. Don't forget, if you need to purchase any of the things that I've shown in the video, to go to my blog. And like I said, if you want the stamp set that's been retired or the framelits from here, I can probably help you out with that. So thanks guys, have a great day and come back and see me again soon. Bye.